Live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you're making it a good one. We know that we are as well. We have a jam-packed show tonight as we're going to be talking a lot of LSU football. Three things that I think may have been missed in this past Saturday, maybe the entire offseason that no one's really talking about, even myself. We will talk about that and some things that I think that we can really look forward to in the fall. Also, we're going to be talking some LSU baseball. Paul Maneri, there's some rumblings. There's some rumblings about Paul. Kim Mulkey is still in the LSU news. I'm sure that will come up at some point. Glenn Guilbeau of the USA Today and the Gannett will be joining us around 7:20. As I've mentioned before, and as me and Glenn have gone on, I guess you could just say the Twitter sphere, we have had some debates. And we are going to settle them tonight on AYS on what is some of the things that are going on with LSU. We're going to be talking about due process. We're going to be talking about Gloria Scott case. We're going to be talking about Ed Orgeron, everything that's been going on with LSU and Title IX over the last couple of months, and some of the things that Glenn has written about and the USA Today has written about. We are going to discuss it with Glenn Guilbeau at 7:20. We're going to get after it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to ask him the questions, and we're going to get down to brass tacks here. And I really appreciate Glenn coming on and look, I said it last night. I said it Monday for having the cojones to come on and for us to debate it. This is what it's all about. Two people who had different opinions. We can come together and we're going to talk about it. I'm sure, as you know me, I can be a little rowdy. No, Blake can be a little rowdy. Hell yeah, I can be a little rowdy. It's just me. I'm loud. I'm Italian. My grandmother's 4'11", and so I got that Italian Sicilian blood going through my veins. You know it's going to get rowdy up in here. But before we get to that, guys, we got to thank our good partners over at Believe Podcast for everything that they do for us and keeping us continuously going throughout the night. And let's get to a couple of these comments. Ryan Gedry says, "What's up, Blake? Can't wait till Glenn is here." Darren says, "Get your popcorn ready." Ryan says he's got some explaining to do. Adam says, "Going to need something a little stronger than beer for tonight's show." Maybe. I think it's going to be a really good segment. I think it's going to be a really good segment when me and Glenn are going to go back and forth, and we're going to discuss everything that he's read, the USA Today has written, and some things that he said. He went on, and I'm going to preface that before he comes on a little bit too, and we're going to preface that just so everybody kind of knows what we're talking about as well. As for people who don't know. Kenny Russell says, "Blake, are the Kim Mulkey rumors heating up?" Yes, they are heating up. Really heating up. I was told that she was supposed to go on the radio today, and she declined. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys, before we get started, we got to get to our good sponsors, and none better than our good friends over at GM Varnado & Sons. GM Varnado & Sons has faithfully been serving your Denham Springs and Baton Rouge area for over 62 years. With their highly trained technicians, there's absolutely nothing that they can't do. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. And our good friend, Mr. Richie Roche over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. That's 225-937-7220. If you want the best looking yard in your neighborhood, you have to give my good friend, Mr. Richie Roche, a call today. Again, that's 225-937-7220. And tell him Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Okay, we'll get to a couple more of these comments. Kenny says, "Bring it, Guilbeau." Stephen Miller says, "What's good?" Amanda Barker says, "I'm here. Let's go." Okay, we're about 13 minutes. Glenn will be here. And we will represent. Before we get started, too, as I forgot, everybody do us a favor, share to some Facebook groups, share to your page, as we'll be having him about 13 minutes. Very quickly, and then I'm going to preface the Glenn Guilbeau stuff. Three things that I think that we've missed the most this spring is, and I know that we've kind of talked about it a little bit, is legitimately the depth that LSU has. Guys, 32 starts LSU has on this team coming back. The biggest thing that I think that we're not really focusing on just from top to bottom. We talked all last year that LSU has the talent. They have the talent. They have the talent. We talked about after the spring game and during the spring, LSU's got the talent. They got the talent. They got the talent. One thing that I think is really the biggest thing that's going just unnoticed is the experience. Guys, you know that when you've been at a job or you've been doing something for a while, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you get in a routine. You know what to do. You get better at your job as years go on. When you're a rookie, when you're green, you're wet under the ears, you're not as good as you are when you're a seasoned vet. And they got seasoned vets all across the field, the O-line, the D-line. The secondary's got some veteran guys that's back there. Linebackers, even though you might see some new faces, you have guys with a lot of playing experience, like Bug Strong, Damone Clark, and why is his name slipping me? Bugs and Mike. How is this name slipping me? Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. So just really from all aspects, and yes, I would say the only position that you don't have experience, which quite honestly you don't always need experience at this position, would be wide receiver. But you still have guys like Jeray Jenkins, who's been here for 4 years, Trey Palmer going into his third, Coy Moore and Kayshon Boutte in their second year. So you have a lot of experience there. You have a going to be a fifth-year senior in Miles Brennan, and then Max Johnson and TJ Finley both have starts underneath their belt. So the thing that I think that we all need to focus on is last year we knew that LSU had the talent, but it was not being able to translate on the field. The thing that I think I'm going to harp about, and I've been thinking about this for maybe a week or so, but I think the biggest thing for me that I'm going to focus on is talking about the experience coming back. So that's one thing. 2 and 3, I guess you could really put it in, and we'll get to the comments in just a second. But two things, I guess you could say 2 and 3, kind of join at the hip. Is it just me, or does it have an LSU 19 kind of spring feel to it? I'm not going to say they're going to win a national title. I'm not going to say they're going to be the best team of all time, because that team in 19 is a once in a generational type of thing. But the one thing for me is it just feels like this whole offseason, it just feels like that 2018-19 kind of feel where LSU was in there and they were in the hunt and they were really doing good things. But you know what? I'm going to wait on 3. I think I'm going to wait on 3 because I kind of want to get my bearings under me as well. All right, let's get to a couple of these comments and then we'll preface the stuff with Glenn Guilbeau. Landon says, get the popcorn ready. Okay. Carl the Cat Dunn says, Blake, quote unquote, Rowdy Ruffino. Okay. I've never been called Rowdy like that before. All right. I'll dig it. Blake McGraw says, I'm here, bro. Let's get him. All right. Barrett Granger says, what's up, Blake? Hope all is well. All is well. Come to Granger. Hey, Cage. Aaron says, not a fan of Guilbeau at all. He hates LSU for a long time. Well, I think I'm going to ask him what he thinks of his perception from LSU fans. Look, I think it's a fair question to ask. I mean, he reads Twitter. He reads Facebook. He's not an idiot. He's a very intelligent dude. So, I mean, I know that he's reading it. So we'll ask. Charles Bound says, care to expound on the Kim news? I want to be careful with this, Charles. What I will tell you is that it seems as if that there is a power struggle between Baylor and Kim Mulkey. That in and of itself feels to be that we all kind of are hearing that. And if it's your first time hearing it, then there's a power struggle with Kim Mulkey and Baylor. I was told by a couple of people, and this was around lunch yesterday and again today, and some people at Baylor have denied it. I did find out and learn that she did not, and I think Mike Scarborough posted this on TigerBait.com, that she does not have a buyout, so LSU would not have to buy out Baylor to bring her here. I know a lot of fans are stuck on the $2.27 million. I understand that. But I don't know how much more you would have to pay her to bring her to LSU. So, you know, when you're Paul Maneri's going through this right now with LSU fans. Okay, yes, I get that they're losing, so it's a little bit different, but he's not historically been a loser. When you're at a program for so long, tensions start to rise. And I think maybe quite possibly from things that I hear, it's going to rise. Now, some people are saying that that Baylor or Mulkey and LSU haven't talked. I was told something different. I was told that she was going to listen and that she was going to receive it. I heard that yesterday or today at 3 was going to happen. That did not transpire. And then I've heard Friday at 3 it's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see that. But I don't know. You know, usually in these coaching searches, and all of you know how candid I am about when we hear stuff and we just pretty much give it to you. Something feels a little bit off about this one because you have one side saying one thing, another side saying another. Usually you would have both sides somewhat saying the same thing in a nutshell, and that's not happening right now. So do I think that there's a chance we get Kim Mulkey? Yes. Do I also think that there's a chance that she uses us as leverage? Possible. But I don't think that she's going to do that. I mean, her son went to school here, and I think that he would have some persuasion for his mama. And look, her family's here. Guys, you know we do the show in Hammond. Tickfall, Louisiana, where she's from, I could throw this pin at Tickfall. I mean, maybe not. I mean, my arm's not as good as it once was. I'm like Toby Keith. I'm not as good as I once was, but I was good once as I ever was. So there we go. Nick Guidry says, laying the smacketh down on that Rudy Poo candy ass. If you smell. John Patton says Glenn is from Metairie and went to Missouri for college. Okay. Been an LSU apologist. We'll see. Brandon says on Facebook Live, what's up going on, Brandon? He says, Pete Jenkins said it best this afternoon. A dangerous tiger is a tiger when he's down. Pete sounded extremely confident on what we will see this fall. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. And again, I think the biggest thing in a nutshell from 2020 to 2021, in 20, we talked about this team having a lot of talent, the football, obviously, but they had a lot of talent. And this year they have talent, but they have experience. Guys, that's 2019 all over again. I mean, I am not saying that they're going to do what they did in 2019. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it has that feel. You mean to tell me we have the whole O-line coming back, the entire defensive line, literally 3 starting quarterbacks, which we didn't have, by the way. You have linebackers starting coming back. Oh, and you have 4 defensive backs who started. Actually, 5 technically that have started that are coming back. So basically, you're telling me that guys that have started football games on every position, multiple people at every position is coming back. Yes. It's going to get dangerous. It's going to get dangerous. Brandon Hollingsworth says, what's up, folks? What's going on? Shade on Facebook Live says 2021 hashtag no excuses. Yeah, there won't be no excuses. No excuses. Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com gives us the side emoji, fire side emoji. We'll see. Brandon Reese says if LSU does move on for Paul Mainieri, it'll be interesting to see who is the options will be out there. I was told to look, maybe look out west a little to in the Texas area, not TCU, Texas. I was told that you can look out Texas, and I was told that you can look in Florida. Let me say this, and I know that Buddy Sanji talked about this a little bit on his show. If LSU, for whatever reason, fires or Paul Mainieri resigns or he retires, whatever's going to happen, if LSU gets Kevin O'Sullivan, the head coach of Florida, no. Nope. Hashtag Rufino's rants will be on point. Yeah, I mean, you're literally going to get a guy who is the equal. I mean, look at him and Paul Mainieri. It's the same thing. Oh, Blake, you beat him in 2017. And let's see. Shelton McBride says, if the O-line does its job, Tigers win on the football field. I thought they did a damn good job Saturday, if we're being honest. I know a lot of people have blistered them. So we'll see. Phil Tittle says, what about the article that says Mickey Joseph may be a candidate for the Southern head coaching job? Well, it's even more than him just being a candidate. I think he's one of the top candidates. I think it goes that serious with Mickey Joseph. outside of Mickey Joseph wanting to be a head coach, I don't think Mickey Joseph is leaving LSU. I just don't see it. Now, I haven't really talked or asked around. But again, unless he wants to be a head coach, which, look, he might want to be. Deion Sanders said he wanted to be a head coach and now he's at Jackson State. Maybe that's the same kind of deal with Mickey Joseph. I personally don't think it's going to would be a right move for Mickey. But look, Mickey turned down being like a co-offensive coordinator when his brother was when he the head coach at the Broncos. I mean, he turned that down to stay at LSU. So, and they did his brother wrong. I mean, they're going to blame it. They always blame everybody in Denver but John Elway. Hey, John Elway, maybe you need to fire yourself. You're trash. I mean, he's a great player, but as an executive, he's been horrible. Outside of signing Peyton Manning, he's been horrendous. Their draft picks are Rudy Poo. I mean, anyway. Jack Davis says, need to get back to the Simone Augustus and fouls days in women's basketball. Yeah. Jacob Samuelson says, Blake's got a cannon. Not anymore. You know, the L that you're doing, I don't have a cannon anymore. I used to be able to rifle that thing. Bang, bang that thing. Or as the LSU football and basketball players say, bow, bow, bow. Can't do that no more. C. King from Talk. I'm going to have to ask you if you want your group out there, but we'll talk about that. He says, I'm in here from it, so we'll see. Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. He says, Stephen Miller, did they ever put a statue of her at Hammond High? No, they did not. They do not have a statue of her at Hammond High. But, I mean, everything in Tick Falls, like Mulkey Drive, Mulkey Avenue, Mulkey Street, Mulkey Way. Some people put an eye on there to make it say Milky Way. I didn't do it. I didn't cross the U out and make an eye to make it say Milky Way. It wasn't me. All right, Glenn Guilbeau. All right, let's do this. Glenn Guilbeau is going to be joining us in about a minute. Let's give you a little preface of what Glenn said on the Saturday Down South podcast, and then why we're bringing him on the show to debate this. A couple weeks ago, or maybe about a week ago, Glenn Guilbeau went on a podcast on Saturday Down South, and he was asked about the Gloria Scott information where he said that LSU was slimy. Yes, slimy in reference to releasing the Gloria Scott information. With that being said, he kind of continued to go on. I have some questions about him calling LSU slimy. We'll get to that in a minute. He also talked about Ed Orgeron possibly getting a call from a booster, and then we're going to talk about some of his articles and getting a call from a booster about Drake Davis. So we're going to talk about all that. So I just wanted to preface everything that we'll be talking about with Glenn and why we're bringing him on the show. And we're going to talk about the Gloria Scott. We're going to talk about the USA Today. We're going to talk about Sharon Lewis. I mean, we got a lot to get to with him. So we'll be waiting for him to join the show. He shouldn't be too long now. Josh Shibley, says, how about that defense on Saturday? I told you Coach Jones would have them working. Yeah, they look good. Really, really good. I thought they looked good on the back seven. I mean, some people got mad at Damone Clark a little bit, but I thought that he looked good. C. King says LSU would be losing one hell of a recruiter if Mickey bolts. Yeah, they would. And I don't think that he is. And I think if he wants to be a head coach, that could be a possibility. But nothing is telling me that he wants to be a head coach right now. I haven't heard any of that, but maybe he wants to be a head coach and could go. Let's see. We're getting with Glenn. We're getting with Glenn Guilbeau. Tell him that we're ready for him. All right. Hopefully don't duck us. If he ducks us, let me tell you this. If he ducks us, we're gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. Jamie says, #Ask Blake, do you think that it's a possibility that LSU fires Maneri, or does he have to have another bad season? I'm not going to say that they'll fire him. I think that they would tell him to resign. And if he absolutely refuses, then we'll see. Megan Red said, "Fight night, let's go." Okay, we're waiting for him. I just texted him and told him we're ready to go. Braden says, "Need to go to Knoxville with duffel bags full of Uncle Benjamins and get the coach from Tennessee, Coach Vitello. Young guys getting baseball rocking in Tennessee." I agree with that. I wouldn't mind that. But Kevin O'Sullivan, Blake Dean, I'm not down with that magic. Go out to Dallas Baptist, go to Texas Tech. You can go to Tennessee. I mean, if you like Tim Corbin, which he's not going to leave Vanderbilt, if you want Tim Corbin, go get him. But I don't think that Tim Corbin is going to leave Vanderbilt. And if he does, and if he wanted to, you're going to have to pay him a shitload of money to leave Vanderbilt. But I don't think that it is. I don't think that he is. All right, we are still waiting for Glenn Guilbeau to come in. And let me tell you this, if you're not – he coming. Terry on Facebook Live says, "Bring her home," talking about Kim Mulkey. I hope that they do, and I think that it might be good for her that she wants to come home. You know, I mean, I think that, look, she had the ability to go on with Jordy Culotta, and she could have ended it right there. She didn't. So if she's going to continue to go on, I would – and say some and do some of the things that she's doing, I think it's a strong possibility. I think it's a very strong possibility. So we'll have to wait and see. TJ says, hashtag Ask Blake, what are your thoughts about the new Taft president? I like it. I like a guy that's LSU, that knows people, that graduated with people, Baton Rouge guy, and that can raise money. He did it at Georgia. He sure as shit's going to be able to do that at LSU. He sure as hell is going to be able to do that at LSU. There's no question about it. All right, Glenn says he wants us to call him. All right, hold on. Let's do this. We just heard from Glenn. He wants us to call him instead of coming on stream. Glenn was supposed to be coming on stream with us, so we're going to give him a call. Let's do this. Hold on. All right, we're about to get to him. He's having some technical difficulties. We're about to call him right now, so stay tuned. Hold on. 8701. Just bear with us as we're getting ready because Glenn's having some technical difficulties. We're about to get in touch with him now. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Hello.
Glenn.
Hey.
Hey, Blake Ruffino, we're live. What's going on, man?
Oh, hey. Hey, Blake. How are you? Sorry I couldn't get on video. My computer wasn't compatible with that. I just do Zoom for some reason.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you on, Glenn. I greatly appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us. And just as we mentioned, we are live, so I just want to let you know that we are, and we're actively on all three platforms. Glenn, I wanted to start here, and I'm going to give you the floor first on that. I was listening to you on a podcast on Saturday Down South when you talked about the LSU stuff with Gloria Scott. And mentioning that, you said that LSU releasing the video or audio on her was a little bit sloppy. I'm going to give you the floor first, like as I mentioned. What did you mean by that? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I thought it was obvious that Miriam Seeger and Burge Osbury were both trying to get the representative of Gloria Scott to, say that they were trying to get money, which they were, but they kept saying how much, and I just thought it made them look bad. I mean, because that was all after the fact. Darius had already done what he did, and the LSU officials didn't really seem concerned about Darius or his behavior or doing anything about it or how Miss Scott was doing. They were just trying to see if this guy wanted money from him, and it didn't help Gloria Scott's or her family's credibility, but I don't think it made LSU look too good either.
Well, on that basis, when you say it didn't make LSU look too good, we have some stuff in there in reference to the Advocate and WBRZ asking for a a public records request on the audio and or documentation that they have on Gloria Scott. So if they're legally obligated to release this information, I guess how does it not make them look good when they're legally having to do that?
Well, LSU's not always doing what they legally have to do. I mean, they often fight public records requests. I mean, they released that tape to make themselves look good. I mean, that was kind of a PR stance to make themselves look good, and it kind of worked because Gloria Scott and her family got a lot of negative impact after that, and it made LSU fans kind of feel better that this guy was trying to extort LSU, which he was. I mean, LSU didn't release that because of their belief in state records laws. They did it. They released it to make themselves look better, and I think it kind of backfired.
Well, Glenn, I mean, with all due respect, they had to follow the law, though. I mean, we can't make speculations on what they were and weren't going to do. And we do have the audio on Gloria Scott specifically stating, and I quote, that Miss Gloria spoke with Sharon, and she's talking about Sharon Lewis, and now Gloria wants her money. So are we not supposed to take that information that we've heard, literally heard, that she left a voicemail on Miriam Seeger's voicemail, and not think that her credibility is a little bit just not good? I mean, because at the end of the day, when you go on,
said that.
I know, but you haven't been saying that though, Glenn.
I just said her credibility is bad.
But you didn't say it on that podcast.
It still doesn't make Darius Geis. It doesn't make Darius Geis any more innocent.
No, but you know, but Glenn, the question that I would have for you, sorry for rudely interrupting you, but the question I would have for you, I know that Darius Geis has not always been the best of human beings, but wouldn't we need to listen to him too? I mean, we have Gloria Scott's testimony. We have her lying a couple of times in the Hush Blackwell report, and then going on audio saying she wants money. The one person that we haven't heard from is Darius Geis. Is he not supposed to be heard?
Well, people have tried to talk to him, but LSU hasn't released any interviews they had with Darius Geis. I mean, I'm sure he's avoiding all interviews. I'm not sure how you could get in touch with him. He had a court case in the D.C. area, but yeah, I would say he deserves to be heard, but he probably doesn't, because that Gloria Scott accusation against him is the least of the accusations against him. I mean, he had two women at LSU in 2015 say that he raped them. So, I mean, I can understand. I mean, he does deserve to say something, but I can understand why he's keeping quiet. He's probably under the advice of his attorneys.
And I understand that. And quite honestly, we have to let due process go with that. Now, Glenn, a little transitioning on that in reference to when you're on the podcast with Saturday Down South, you talked about Ed Orgeron. And I'm going to give you the floor again on this one. Where do you think LSU's stance is and Ed Orgeron's stance is and all of this Title IX stuff?
Well, I don't think Coach Orgeron is as directly involved in this as, say, Miriam Seeger and Verge Osbury and the Title IX director and Joe Oliva was when he was the athletic director. I think Coach Joe is kind of on the outside of it a little bit. I don't think he should have been. I don't think his job is in any trouble over this at this point. I mean, he may have changed this story. Some people say when he talked to Gloria Scott, or if he didn't. But again, that's he's not as heavily involved with keeping things quiet about Drake Davis and Darius Geis about their other accusations as Osbury and Seeger are.
So you talked about Miriam Seeger, and in that you said that and tonight that you thought that both of those individuals should have been fired from their positions. Since they weren't fired in their positions, who does that fall on in your opinion? Who should we be looking at if we have the stance of firing Verge, firing Miriam? Then who does it fall on? Does it fall on the president? Does it fall on someone in the athletic department? Glenn, who does that fall on in your opinion?
Well, Thomas Galligan, who just left, who is going to leave as interim president, I think he should have fired them. I mean, that was his call. It was up to him, according to the Hush Blackwell spokesman, Scott Schneider. That was he. Scott Schneider and Hush Blackwell did the report, but it was up to LSU to suspend people or fire people. And they chose just to suspend Merriam and Verge. And when you read the Hush Blackwell report, it sounds like more serious action should have been taken.
So what do you think should do now? What should happen now? I mean, I think that they felt that there should not have been any action or just the action that they took in the suspension. So what do you think that should happen now? Do you think that LSU can fire them? What if you were in that position, and I hate to kind of put you on the spot here, and feel free to, because I know that it's a tough question to ask, but what do you think LSU should do now moving forward?
Well, I think the new president should come in and fire him. Whoever the new president is, and the new president may re-examine that, and he may listen to what the Senate Select Committee is their investigation and some of their hearings, because those hearings were really ignited because no one was fired at LSU. That's how that kind of started. And then, there's also two U.S. Department of Education investigations, plus the EEOC, Sharon Lewis's accusations have been turned over to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. So there's a lot for the new president to look at, and he could re-examine those suspensions and take further action, or he could not. I mean, LSU, to its credit, they did at least transfer Miriam Seeger to where she's not handling any accusations anymore of sexual misconduct and acting as a stopgap between the accusations and the Title IX office. Now, if those happen, they're going right to the Title IX office, which is what should have been happening in the first place.
Glenn, a couple more questions, and I want to talk to you about your book that you're doing on former LSU baseball coach Skip Berkman. You brought up Sharon Lewis, and she sued LSU for $50 million. I want to ask you about the USA Today article that came out in reference to Sharon Lewis. There were a lot, and I say a lot, but there were some missteps in that article. Number one, they talked about Zach Mettenberger coming down after being kicked off of Georgia's team, and then he came, and then he was now part of LSU's team the year after. Well, that's not true, and that's actually false. So there were some inconsistencies in that article that the USA Today came out about Sharon Lewis. If we're supposed to believe that they couldn't even find out when Zach Mettenberger was on campus and on LSU's team, are there a lot of things that we should believe in that article from the USA Today?
Well, what was the part that was incorrect about Mettenberger? I don't see what you're saying there.
They said that as soon as Zach Mettenberger got, I think it was 2009, 2010, got kicked off the University of Georgia's football team. And the very next year that he was on LSU's football team after some accusations. So, no, he wasn't. And that's clearly what they say in the article.
You're right. He played junior college. He played junior college 1 year. Yeah, that's
so my question is if they weren't able to do the due diligence there and that part of Zach Mettenberger, are we, as fans, are we supposed to question the due diligence of what's happened else in that report?
Well, USA Today has done, probably 10 or 12 reports since last summer, and I would say more than 99% is correct. Counting the Mettenberger mistake, I would say that's a minor mistake. They skipped over the junior college. I mean, the point is LSU did take a player who had been kicked off. Now, he never did anything wrong again at LSU. But no, I think that was a minor mistake compared to the huge amount of reporting that they did. There's been no other mistakes in their reporting.
But Glenn, I guess my question. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The USA Today stories, I can tell you, I mean, they have been extremely accurate, and the Advocate usually doesn't quote other papers. They don't. Most papers kind of struggle to do that because they're giving somebody else credit. But the Advocate has freely quoted the USA Today. I think that gives you some credence as to the solid reporting they've done.
Well, I guess from a fan's perspective, do you see that when they read that and they read the simple fact that that's not the facts of what happened with Mettenberger and the due diligence wasn't done on that they would question other things in that report? Could you see their point of view on that?
No, because I think it's really a minor mistake. I think you're making a big deal out of a very small mistake. Now, I will say the Mettenberger, it probably should never have been in the story to begin with, because it's just not applicable to what's going on. I mean, Mettenberger, he paid his punishment to Georgia, both legally, and he was kicked off the team, and he had to go to a small college in Kansas, and then he had to come to LSU and sit out a year. So I didn't see where that fit. I mean,
because Davis, Glenn, not to rudely
hardly any punishment.
Not to rudely interrupt you, but it's in Sharon Lewis's document that she filed with the federal government and the state. So for whatever reason, she's putting it in there for a reason, though.
Well, no, not necessarily. Sometimes people just make mistakes. It's not any kind of a reason, and that really didn't even help her argument if it was accurate.
Right.
And there's plenty of other charges she has in there that make that a viable lawsuit. Some of the things are exaggerated, I would say, like in most lawsuits. I mean, they have I think some of the she says that she doesn't get as much salary as some other people who have been there equal time, but she also makes more money than other people that have been there equal time. And sometimes you don't get a promotion just because you don't get a promotion, and she's trying to blame because she's a woman or whatever that she didn't get the promotion. Well, sometimes you don't get the promotion, and that some of that in the lawsuit I thought was a little off as well.
Glenn, last thing on this, and then I want to get you a book. I'm really excited to talk to you about that because I think it's going to be extremely interesting. You talked about LSU being the mafia, and it's kind of funny that an Italian's asking you what you mean about the mafia. I'm not going to go into details there, but when you talk about LSU being a mafia, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I said on that talk show that I said they were like the mafia. In fact, in the fact that they keep everything in the family and they've been together for so long. I mean, there's so many employees at LSU that have been there so long, and the fact that so many people were in on this cover-up of Geis and Davis, Ausberry, Seeger, the Title IX office, the LSU police, the athletic director. That's what I meant by the mafia. And after I said that, the RICO portion of the lawsuit was mentioned in that story, and RICO means racketeer, influence, and corrupt organizations, which was in that story. So I mean, I said that before that came out, so it's not a complete reach. And I just said like the mafia. I didn't say they were the mafia.
Gotcha.
They were like the
mafia. Let me
apologize. They stick together.
Well, then let me apologize for misconstruing your words. I don't want to do that. In reference to saying that they're like the mafia, the only question, Glenn, that I have to ask is that outside of Sharon Lewis and outside allegations that we have, do you think that we have enough proof other than he said, she said on some things? Now, again, I'm not saying one side's right. I'm not saying one side's wrong. My question is do we have enough evidence and due process to start convicting people of crimes that they may or may not have committed?
It's a lot more than he said, she said, because it's Hush Blackwell said. And LSU hired Hush Blackwell. LSU paid Hush Blackwell to expose LSU. So it's a little more than just the victim and the accused, which is he said, she said. This is a voluminous investigation by an LSU hired firm that made this discovery. Now, it may not go to the trial stage, so you may not get the due process. But it's, to answer your question, it's much more than he said, she said, and just judging from the reaction of LSU's university, President Galligan, other officials, even though all they did was suspend 2 people, I mean, they did admit that they really handled this wrong.
Glenn, I get what you're saying, but there are some things in the Hush Blackwell report that still need answered on both sides, and I agree with you there. But some things that we found in the Hush Blackwell report that was reported earlier did not come out to be facts. And in reference to Sharon Lewis, do you think it's a little suspicious that we've heard an audio release from Gloria Scott saying that she spoke, and I'm quoting again, that she spoke with Sharon Lewis and now Miss Gloria wants her money? Do you find that any suspicious and or any credibility that we may look on the behalf of Sharon Lewis?
Yeah, as I said at the beginning of this show, her credibility was hurt by that coming out. Yes.
No, meaning very rudely, I'm meaning of Sharon Lewis. So meaning that we have audio of Gloria Scott saying that she spoke with Sharon. Now that Sharon has filed a civil lawsuit, a RICO civil lawsuit, the last thing that we heard is audio from Gloria Scott saying that she spoke with Sharon Lewis in an extortion of LSU. So we have a crime committing by Miss Gloria Scott where she says Sharon Lewis's name. Why are we not talking about Sharon Lewis' name being brought up in an extortion that is illegal?
Well, other names were brought up too. I don't see your point. Sharon Lewis wasn't involved in the extortion plot. That was Gloria Scott and her representative and some members of her family.
Glenn, she mentioned her name
Sharon
though.
Lewis, but they also spoke to Verge Osbury. I mean, they also talked to Miriam Seeger, but those people aren't in on the extortion. They were on the other end of it. So I don't see Lewis's connection to Gloria Scott that you're making.
Well, we have the audio, Glenn. I mean, we literally have Gloria.
I listened to the audio.
So then how do we not have the connection?
Gloria Scott, because I don't know what you're talking about with Sharon Lewis. The audio was
WBRZ has audio
Scott's
release.
Representative talking to Miriam Seeger and Verge Osbury.
No, WBRZ released an audio saying that Miss Gloria Scott left an email from Miriam Seeger specifically stating on a voicemail that she spoke with Sharon Lewis and now she wants her money. So we had at that exact moment.
But what did she speak to Sharon Lewis about?
That's my point. That's my point. We have a crime being.
Weather? They could have been talking about the weather.
Okay, so they could have been talking about the weather. We don't know. But why is that not being reported is my question. So everything's being recorded.
I don't think it's news. I mean, what was news about that was that they were trying to get money from LSU by talking to Miriam Seeger and Verge Osbury. I don't think Sharon Lewis was, involved in that. Maybe she's in the report because they talked, but so were some other people she talked to. Gloria Scott was trying to call anyone at LSU to see what might happen to this athlete who, harassed her.
Glenn, I think that we're just missing boats on that question. I mean, it's kind of like for me to this point, if let's just say hypothetically Darius Geis did, again, alleged because I don't know what happened, but did do this to Gloria Scott and there was witnesses. If witnesses saw it, would not witnesses need to be put in front and say what happened between Darius Geis and Gloria Scott? So now that we have audio saying that she spoke with Sharon Lewis and now she wants money, I think that there should be questions answered there. That's the point I'm trying to get across.
Well, the first we heard of Darius Geis harassing this woman at the Superdome was from Hush Blackwell. Mm-hmm. That was not in any stories before it was in Hush Blackwell. And Hush Blackwell didn't even mention Sharon Lewis in their report. They just mentioned what happened with Darius and
actually, Glenn, they did.
And after that, it was discovered from LSU that this group wanted money because of their conversation with Seeger and Geis. Actually,
Glenn, they did put her name is in the Hush Blackwell report, a part of on the Drake Davis stuff. So it was in the report. So, I mean, they're not questions there with her too.
But Sharon Lewis wasn't in the report with regard to Darius Geis and Gloria Scott at the Superdome.
No, the audio was though. So we have audio released from LSU. So regardless of what Hush Blackwell says, LSU released that information on the public records request. So it doesn't matter if it was in the Hush Blackwell report or not, right? I mean, we have the audio. Questions have to be answered.
I still don't get your contact with. There's no. I just don't get what you're trying to say about Sharon Lewis and Gloria Scott.
Well,
if I mean, I brought up issues that I have with Sharon Lewis's lawsuit. I think maybe a lot of people are just angry that Sharon Lewis is suing LSU and looking for stuff. But I mean, the Geis, Gloria Scott extortion, that could have happened and did happen, I feel, with Sharon Lewis not having a role in that.
It's going to be interesting, Glenn, to see how everything, I guess, transpires in all of this. One last question. I really want to get to this on this part. You're doing a biography on former LSU baseball coach and AD Skip Bertman. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing there. How much longer do you have on the book? And when should people expect that to come out about one of the greatest baseball coaches, if not the greatest baseball coach of all time?
Well, I'm behind on that book because of so much going on at LSU. For one thing, you got NCAA investigation of football and basketball, and then you have this entire Title IX issue. But I hope for it to be out late this year, and definitely before next baseball season. But I still have quite a bit to do because Skip Bertman did a lot in his career and life. Not only baseball coach, but he was a great athletic director at LSU. And we didn't have these issues we have now when he was athletic director. So there's a lot on him as athletic director, and obviously there's a chapter on each championship, and then on the other teams that didn't win championships, like the great College Station team of 1989. And I'm actually working on the Warren Morris chapter right now. Warren Morris has written a foreword for the book, which is really great.
Oh, wow.
So it's I hope everybody likes it. I mean, I've really enjoyed doing it because there's just so many stories, behind stories, and a lot of anecdotes, and it's just been fun to do. But there's a lot there. It's not like a book on one championship season, which you see a lot. This is a book on 5 of those, and how he built it, and then how he became AD.
Glenn, in this for the fans, what is the number one thing, or maybe not the number one thing, but what was something that stood out to you that Skip Bertman told you that you always just, when someone gives you a really good nugget of information or something that might change your life or you live your life by, is there something that Skip told you that really just caught your eye when he said it?
Wow. One thing he says a lot is just try to be nice to people. That's one thing he said, and he did that as he built his program, and he was always telling his players to do that. And Skip's a guy who wasn't always nice. When he was in a hurry or real busy, he wasn't always nice to reporters, but most of the time he was. But I think my most lasting memory of Skip is how much fun he and the players had in Omaha, win or lose. Because when they got there, when you get there, you've done something. Even if you don't win, if you got there, you've done something. And his teams were always, except for maybe the first couple times he went, his teams, when they went to Omaha, they were always the most relaxed team and confident, and sometimes a little cocky too, like '97. but they were. You just knew they were going to win or come really close to it because the other teams seemed to clutch up, and the LSU teams in Omaha, they were laughing, goofing off at practice, and I think you saw that happen on those national championship Saturdays.
Well, Glenn, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll definitely read it because anything on Skip Bertman and LSU athletics, I'm definitely going to give it a read. Before we let you out of here, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and stuff that you're doing.
Oh, LSU Beat Tweet, which I don't need to say. All of your followers are on me there. And I'm at the advertiser.com. and USAtoday.com. But I really appreciate it. And if I missed something on the Sharon Lewis connection with Gloria Scott, go ahead and email that to me, and I'll relook at that.
Absolutely. Well, I greatly appreciate you being a good sport and coming on AYS, and we'll have you on again soon, man. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Enjoyed it.
That is Glenn Guilbeau with the USA Today. All right, tell me what you guys thought about the interview. All right, put in the comments right now. Tell me what you thought about the interview. We'll put it in there. We do got to get to a break very quickly. My good friend, Mr. John Patton, over at Area Home Lending. Guys, if you're thinking about buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with John Patton from Area Home Lending today, and if you mention this show, he will send his team out for a free appraisal. 225-663-2500. That's 225-663-2500. And tell him your good friend, Mr. Blake Ruffino at AYS, sent you on by. All right, we'll get to the comments. What did you think of the interview? Look, let me say this very quickly on the Sharon Lewis, and I think some of you understood what I was trying to say. But if I was not making myself clear, let me make myself very clear right now. There is audio of Gloria Scott giving to Miriam Seeger, or calling her cell phone, going to a voicemail, saying that that Gloria Scott spoke with Sharon Lewis, and now Miss Gloria wants her money. So what do we have there? We have audio of Gloria Scott specifically stating that she spoke with an LSU official, and now she wants her money to shut up about the allegations that she made on Darius Geis. Well, number one, that's extortion. So she mentioned someone else's name, Sharon Lewis, someone had worked on LSU's campus, who was quite honestly in that building every single day, working through recruiting, and extortion happened. A crime happened literally right after she said Sharon Lewis's name. So the question that I'm trying to ask here is we're talking about Sharon Lewis, the allegations that she made, that he said, she said, which I don't agree with Glenn about. All the he said, she said in that article from the USA Today, and they're not even questioning the fact that she's on audio. Miss Gloria Scott is on audio mentioning Sharon Lewis's name in an extortion. And you mean to tell me that a crime was committed and Sharon Lewis has no punishment? All right. That's what I'm trying to say here. Literal audio that was released, and then a crime committed right after. And we're supposed to say, well, the USA Today didn't do this. Well, the USA Today did do something. They didn't do their due diligence on Zach Mettenberger. And it's in the federal lawsuit that Sharon Lewis put into. There's a lot of questions on LSU's side. I've made that very clear. And on a lot of other people's sides. We'll see. All right, let's get to a couple of these comments. And then we'll get out of here. Tasha Thibodeau says, great interview, very fair. Thank you very much, Tasha. You guys can go over to her, the Real LSU Nation. Go to their groups, really great. Tony says if he read the Blackwell report. Well, he said that he did, and then he said, well, Sharon Lewis wasn't even in it. And if you remember, I told him, well, actually, Glenn, she is. So maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But he said that, it would assume that maybe he did. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe he just read tidbits. I don't know. Maybe I should have asked him that. Let's see. Kenny Fano says, yeah, 97. LSU smoked Alabama 13-6. Wasn't it a great time when we beat the dog shit out of Alabama? C. King says, man, we not looking for the I got to be professional, guys. I got to be professional. Look. One thing that I'm going to give Glenn, and you guys might rip me on this, one thing I'm going to give him, he had the brass balls to come on here and talk about it. Period. Just going to be honest. Ramy sends us some stars on Facebook. Ramy, I greatly appreciate that, my friend. C. King says, great interview, Blake. Thank you very much. Tony Weaver. Tony was cracking me up in the damn comments. Oh, shit. Y'all crazy. Paul says, hashtag Ask Blake. So Skip as AD hired less and nobody sees the question there. Yeah, that is a question. And Paul Maneri. But yes, I do think that there was a connection. Tasha says you were crystal clear, folks, about to play dumb because they left out facts. I mean, look, I thought I was being very clear. I don't know how much clearer I could have been. Scott said, okay, that dude is you know what? Jeff says he sounds like a politician, not a reporter. He can't understand the question. Bull. Well, I'm definitely going to email it to him. Chase says, dudes, a full kept backtracking. Couldn't be clear. Blaine says, good job, Blake. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Stephen Miller says, tomorrow night is game night. I'm going to need some fire baseball talk on tomorrow's show. It's tomorrow. Stephen, we're not actually going to do one tomorrow. Since LSU's playing in the SEC game, we're not going to do it. Amanda Barker says it was a good interview. You can go to #TigerNation, her Facebook group as well. I greatly appreciate that. Paul says, #Ask Blake. So Glenn never says that Woodward should answer to nobody getting fired. Yes, that's what he said. I mean, I basically was asking him, then who should fire him? And he never mentioned Scott Woodward. All right, guys, you know what we're going to do? We're at it about an hour tonight. I do, again, greatly appreciate all of you joining in, commenting. I greatly appreciate Glenn Guilbeau stopping by. We will not be on the show tomorrow since we do have baseball, and we will probably be back Saturday as we always are. But, guys, I greatly, as always, appreciate you joining the show. And Tasha says this, much respect to Guilbeau for coming on. Yeah, I mean, look, he didn't have to come on. I'll give him credit where credit's due. He had brass balls. He came on here. He answered questions. I mean, regardless, he answered questions. He didn't have to do it. So I do greatly appreciate him doing that. Two more, we'll get out of here. Paul said Glenn skated way away from his previous comments on Ed Crawfish. Yeah, he did. Ryan says you held your ground. Proud to be a part of AYS. I appreciate that. Well, guys, we're going to get out of here. Y'all have a good night. If we don't talk to you during the weekend, which we will see you Saturday. We might do a Friday show, but we will see you soon, guys. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.